You are a film watcher, and so am I. I watch a lot of films. You do not. I am a reflection of what you could be. You are a reflection of what I should be. I want you to know one thing only. The following podcast contains spoilers for On the Silver Globe. You have been warned.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Glenjamin Button, along with your host, Miguel Megusto.
Yes, we are back.
We are.
And now you're back. From outer space. How you doing?
I'm not bad. A little sleepy. This game came out called Elden Ring, which is absolutely whooping my ass, but I'm having fun with it. Other than that, just having a ball with life, you know, dancing around
great.
with a big old dress. Excuse me. How are you?
Do you have to be back by midnight?
Well, at this point, life's a drag, so I don't even care at this point.
I am fine. My brain hurts from a particular movie we'll get into in a bit. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty good. Tired. You know, the Stonies wore me out. Great ceremony.
Great ceremony.
Lots of impressive wins there.
They've really outdone themselves.
They really did outdo themselves. But if they don't fix that tie situation, I'm going to be very upset.
I don't think they ever will. It's just the most upsetting thing.
We'll figure that out. But yeah, what movies have you seen recently, Glenn?
Yes, the old movie trope of me not knowing what I watched. But
yes,
the trope is this. Other than the ones we also talked about for the Stonies themselves, let's just start fresh. Let's start a clean slate. You and I watched a movie right after we did the Stonies.
Yes.
And that was called Black Dynamite, which was fucking hilarious.
Yes, it is. I'm honestly shocked you had never seen it before.
It had always been on the watch list. I've obviously told you this in person. It's been on the watch list for a long time, but I always thought it was one of those blaxploitation movies. So I never just, watched it.
Yeah, you thought it was actually from the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, like I looked and I thought it was from the 60s or 70s. I was like, man, that would be great if it was Michael Jai White. And you're like, that is. I'm like,
that
holy
is Michael
shit.
Jai White. Yeah,
that was
pretty
really funny.
Yeah.
That hilarious movie. Would watch 10 out of 10 again. And then I watched Uncharted with you, and we did a whole review for that. And then, of course, again, we did another one for Studio 666, which, again, it's all over the YouTubes. But after that, I didn't watch any other movies, but I did watch Peacemaker, which you had been kind of getting on my case to watch for a long time, because I'll let you explain why.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, if anyone knows me, I'm not big into TV shows. So if I say a TV show is good and worth your time, it's probably good and worth your time. Like,
yep.
I'm not someone that's going to be like, oh yeah, I watched 5 series of a TV show. It was okay. Like, I'm either love it or I'm not finishing it. There's no in between for me. So yeah, when I watched Peacemaker, and I'm also not big into superheroes, so it's a double whammy for me. I was just like, you gotta watch it, Glenn. It's easily John Cena's best performance, as you said. Not much competition there, but he does really good in it.
Yeah, he did. The whole show is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
They didn't hold back on, just censoring themselves, which is usually always great. It was just a really funny show. It's great to see John Cena actually doing something and showing his range, because he showed as much as he could in this show, and it was great.
For sure.
So glad Baby Boy Invisible Man got it, and hope to see more, honestly.
Yeah, if only we could see him, though. That's the problem.
I just wish I wasn't so blind to his sight. But after that, there's nothing other than that I really watched besides our movie, which we shall talk about after you say yours.
We shall. Well, I watched a total of 21 movies in the time since we last spoke, which has been about 21 days. So that's pretty on par for me. The first one, I'm going to try to go through these as fast as possible. Probably not going to talk about many of them very long. First one, called Ombre. It's a Paul Newman movie. Watch for 1001 Movies You Must Watch Before You Die. Very good. Can't recommend it enough. Then I watched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Rewatch Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I never really cared for it. You either love it or you don't like it, and I don't like it. That's just me, though. Then I watched Jackass Forever because there was nothing else out, and I wanted to go see a movie, and there was a lot of dicks in there, way more dicks than I remember there being in any other Jackass movie. Don't know if that is just me forgetting all the dicks, but yeah, I would like to unsee some of those things, but I can't. Then we saw Marry Me. I'm surprised you forgot that one. That is on the YouTubes. We got a YouTube review for that for Marry Me. Then I rewatched Seven, or Seven, the David Fincher, Brad Pitt movie, What's in the Box, that whole thing. That's also for the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. That episode is going to be coming out. All the movies I'm going to mention today for that, or that episode is March 28th is when that comes out. Yeah, rewatch that. Then I rewatched Coda because the Oscar nominations came out, and I'm trying to get my wife caught up with watching the movies. So we watched Coda. Great movie. Actually, no, the Stonies are out now, so I can't say it. The Stony Award winner, Coda. Then I watched, for the 1001 Movies You Must Watch Before You Die, Robert Redford's directorial debut called Ordinary People. Really good movie. Essentially, it's about a family where the son is suffering from severe depression, had already tried to commit suicide, and it's kind of like Good Will Hunting in a way, minus the whole genius aspect of it. Where it's mostly a guy talking about therapy and his family dealing with therapy and everything. I know that's not exactly what Good Will Hunting is about, but it gave me Good Will Hunting vibes, including the "it's not your fault" scenario. Yeah, good movie. Then I watched Haunted Honeymoon, a Gene Wilder film from 1986. He also directed it. It's okay. I was a little disappointed in it, but it is what it is. Then for 1001 Movies You Must Watch Before You Die, I watched a Chinese movie called A Touch of Sin, which is an anthology movie. It's like 4 little short films that kind of have a running theme, all jammed together. Starts off really good and then just kind of goes downhill from there. But like the first short is really good. So I mean, it's good regardless. So I would suggest it. Then I rewatched the 1951 version of The Day the Earth Stood Still. Great sci-fi movie. Great classic movie. Suggest that. Then watch The Death of the Nile, which is the sequel and also remake of Murder on the Orient Express, and that's sequel. Kenneth Branagh directed it, starred in it. Way better than Murder on the Orient Express. I really enjoyed it. If you can get past the Army Hammer situation.
Because I fell asleep during the death.
I thought you finished it though.
Probably not.
I mean, you didn't miss much. This one is actually like really good and interesting. But yeah, if you like mysteries, suggest that. Just try to look past Army Hammer because he is not the only one that worked on it, and I wish people realize that more.
Yeah.
Then I rewatched Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf for the 1001 Movies You Must Watch Before You Die or Must See Before You Die. I never really cared for it. I don't like movies where the entire thing is just people arguing. Unless it's done in a funny way, like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But this is a drama, and it's well acted. Like, I have no problem with anything in the movie except the characters. I hate the characters, and because of that, I don't like the movie. And, it's not a bad movie. I just don't like it.
Sometimes that do happen.
Then I watched Uncharted. We watched it together, and you see our review for that. Then I rewatched Black Dynamite, which was made in 2009, not 1975, and does indeed star Michael Jai White.
Thank goodness.
Then I rewatched The Mitchells vs. the Machines because Caitlin wanted to watch it.
Is that award-winning?
That is a Stony Award-winning animated film, The Mitchells vs. the Machines. Then I watched On the Silver Globe, we'll get to in just a minute. Then I watched Studio 666. Also have a review for that on YouTube. Then I rewatched King Richard, the movie about Venus and Serena Williams' father, played by Will Smith. Weakest of the Best Picture bunch, doesn't really deserve to be in the Best Picture, but it's got
Will Smith.
Not only that, but there's also not really a good representation for black people in like any other movie that's nominated. So I get why they did it. But yeah, it's a fine movie. Just it's the weakest of the best pictures. Then I rewatched Belfast, which is a great movie. We have a 60-second review of that on YouTube channel. Then I watched The Cursed last night, which is a horror movie about werewolves, and great atmosphere, great concept, great performances. But the writing and the editing is choppy and sloppy, so it kind of it brings it down a lot. But it's a interesting film. I would suggest it if you're a horror film, but it's nothing that I'm probably going to remember for years to come.
Yeah.
And then I watched a movie today, which is Waiting for the Barbarians, starring Johnny Depp, Mark Rylance, Robert Pattinson. It is directed by the director of Embrace of the Serpent, which we talked about on this podcast before. And on Letterboxd, it only has a 2.9 star rating. My guess is because the movie is kind of a slow burn, which I get, but I really enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. But I love that director. I believe his name is pronounced Ciro Guerra. He has another great film called Birds of Passage, which is fantastic. So yeah, he's one of my favorite non-English speaking directors. I mean, he probably speaks English, but it's not his first language. Yeah, is what I'm getting at. But Waiting for the Barbarians, I enjoyed it. I don't get why, other than it being slow, why people don't like it. Which if a movie's slow but good, who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
But that's all I watched. I apologize to everyone that I watched so much. It's just who I am.
It's okay. We took a little break.
Yes.
Well, you didn't. You worked your ass off.
I did. I a little bit. But let's get into, and hopefully our brains can handle talking about this, on the Silver Globe.
Jesteś zwierzę i ja jestem zgodny, ty nie. Ja jestem odbiciem tego, co w tobie, ty nie jesteś odbiciem tego, co we mnie. Powiedz jedna tylko rzecz mnie zaciekawia, Ziemia, planeta, skąd przychodzisz, co to jest?
A team of astronauts land on an inhabitable planet and form a society. Many years later, a single astronaut is sent to the planet and becomes a messiah. It is directed by Andrzej Zulawski, written by Andrzej Zulawski, and based on the book by Jerzy Zulawski. I don't know how that's pronounced. It is starring Andrzej Sirurin, Jerzy Trela, Grażyna Dilag, and Waldemar Kownacki, and a bunch of other Polish names, which I will not try to pronounce because shame on me. But the main reason I picked this is because it has a very interesting history, and that is when about 80% of the film was shot, it was shut down by the Polish government because they deemed that it was a criticism of the Polish government. And I guess that's something that happens in Poland, which is a shame. But I thought that was very interesting, and the images that the imagery that are on the trailer and everything, it's got a lot of really cool imagery. I knew it was going to kind of be out there just because of the concept and everything, and it exceeded my weirdness expectations.
Yes.
But for the most part, I liked it. following what was going on hurt my brain though.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll start off by saying right from the get go that following it was pretty tough.
Yeah. If it were in English, maybe not as much, but like the reading of the subtitles and also following the action, just it happens so fast. Everything, one thing after the other. That's like what? Okay.
Because it follows basically three major characters throughout.
Yeah.
There's basically each act has those three. Well, I won't say that it has all three of the characters, but each one is their own character basically. First act is like the one astronaut who ends up becoming an old man. I'm pretty sure. Like I said, it's hard to follow, so I don't even know if it was the same guy now.
Yeah.
Then the second act
starts off in present day and then goes back to when they first landed.
So, very, very. Wait, hold on. Mind blown. What?
So it starts with that guy coming in on the horse and then going to those two astronauts in the abandoned building. Remember? Mm-hmm. That is like what would be. That's like the beginning of the third act, and then it goes back to when their ancestors first landed. So I mean, obviously, that's clearly one thing that's easy to miss if you're not if you miss it, you're not ever gonna get caught up again. Mm-hmm. But it's just something that's you're gonna like nitpick. Like some people are gonna get something, some people are gonna get other things. But so yeah, I mean, only like the first 5 minutes are the beginning of the third act, and then it goes to the first act. But other than that, you are correct. Where like it focuses on the first people, then second people, third people, etc.
Mm-hmm. And with the first set of people, you barely have enough time to really like adapt to them because it kind of moves on to the second part pretty quick at least. Especially because the second part was like a huge part of the movie too.
That's the biggest part.
The one guy I watched this a week ago, so I don't remember his name, sadly. Was it Jarek or Jekic?
It was either that or Peter, one of them.
Might have been
or
Peter,
Mark,
but he was very expressive acting, very theatrical. I'll say this whole movie was pretty theatrical.
I would agree. Yeah.
But like that, whichever actor I'm thinking of was very expressive in how he acted, and he like killed it.
Merrick is the guy, by the way.
Merrick, bada bing.
Yeah, he's the guy that kind of becomes the Messiah, and that's it's Merrick.
Yeah, that's definitely the guy. Just get rid of the mustache. That's the man.
Yep.
But yeah, he was great, and very expressive, and just definitely sold, me watching the movie and just like trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. I was like, this guy's awesome, no matter what my mind is straying to right now. But it's so hard to talk about because like I don't know where do I even begin for the most part other than talking about those three characters.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting examination of no matter how advanced humanity is. It's also kind of bleak where like no matter how advanced humanity is, they're always destined to just become slaves, for lack of a better word, to religion and belief and one leader. Which I think is why Polish government had such a problem with it. I don't know enough about Polish politics to know, but like the idea that like humans are too stupid to think for their own, so they need a leader, it could be a condemnation of any government, really. But not every government has the power to shut down a film just because of slight criticisms.
Yeah.
So it's very. I wouldn't say it's like unique in that way because that's something people have been exploring for millennia, for a very long time. Where just people are just always destined.
Definitely the way they went about it.
Yeah, easily to be like if you're not educated or anything, you're easily to be misled or led astray or whatever by a single person, become a cult kind of in a way. And also, no matter how advanced you are, it's very easy to just fall back into barbarianism in a way, with like the nature versus nurture aspect of it. Like you can have all these fancy tools, but if you don't have people there to teach you how to use them, will you actually be a evolved people, or will you just kind of become nomadic again? Well, they're not really nomads because they stay on the beach the entire time, but
Yeah.
where, like, they're living in huts and tents and everything, and very tribal in a way,
Yes.
and tribal in like a caveman sense, not so much the native cultures or anything, just to be very clear, because those are very developed tribes, but these ones were not. They were essentially eating each other or having orgies in caves and everything. And but yeah, it is very weird to talk about. It's very it's like if Terrence Malick directed a David Lynch film where it's got the wandering camera and then the plot that is just very dreamlike or nightmare-like.
Yeah.
And just kind of all over the place, and leaving you to kind of figure it out on your own, which I appreciate, but at the same time, my dumb brain's just like, can I just get like a footnote or something?
It was very, very creative. The set design, the costume design, all of it was super well done.
Yeah.
But it was so hard to follow. At least, again, my dumb, stupid brain too. It was just so hard to follow, and just besides that, I mean, I was having fun with this movie. I was enjoying it. I was like finding myself interested in different things on what's going on. But being dumbfounded about what's going on, that I had no idea what the fuck was going on.
It's captivating for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a movie that you need to know what's going on to stay interested in it.
And for the most part, once you finish the film, you do get the overall sense of what is going on.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just sitting there like, well, I'm dumbfounded and have no idea what just happened.
Yeah. There are a few parts that's just like, where did that come from? Like the 1950s American car just driving down the hill. Like there's a few things like that where it's just like, what are you trying to get at? But then again, it's like, how much of that is the actual film, and then how much of that is just them not being able to film it because they were stopped by the government? Like, people complain about remakes all the time. I feel like this really warrants a remake without being interrupted by a political entity at all. Because it's got great set pieces. It's just beautifully crafted, from the costumes to the imagery, the makeup and everything. How the tribes form, how there's this silver tone over everything, hence the name. And it's just such an intriguing looking film. It just kind of grabs you in that sense. And also just how bonkers it is too. It's just
very bonkers.
You're just like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah,
but
it definitely needs a remake.
Yeah.
Or just to be finished even, period.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not Zulawski's fault that it is as I don't want to say incoherent, because it is coherent. It's just because there is 20% of it missing. You're just like, you're definitely missing pieces, even with his voiceover describing what would happen. Or,
where they don't have that 20%, they just kind of do vocal dialogue in like the modern city and just talk about what's going to happen during the scene, or what was supposed to happen.
I think this is a great example. A lot of people still don't know this or understand this, that like films aren't filmed chronologically. Like there's still a surprising amount of people that think they just start from the beginning and then end with the end. Not so much.
It used to be that way.
Depending on the film, but there's obviously not as many people believe that as they did like 20, 30, 40 years ago. But there's still way too many people where they're just like, I'm constantly thinking about how in Seven, Brad Pitt breaks his arm, and then he broke his arm. The actor Brad Pitt broke his arm, and then they just shoehorned it into the plot. And I'm sitting here thinking, did they just like conveniently not have any of that other part filmed? And it's I wish I was able to just be like, oh yeah, they just film it chronologically, but that's not the case. But I think more than it's just fun to look at. It's a great looking film.
Definitely very fun to look at. Even the orgy parts, very, very, very out there, super wild.
Still blurred for some reason. I thought that was just a YouTube.
Yeah, that was. I was not ready for that. I'm like, I'm about to see some. Just,
only the genitalia
very full
was
frontal going on.
Yeah.
That sounded super weird for me.
There were like some aspects of it I didn't like the first act with the astronauts when they first land. I didn't like how a lot of it was from like a video log perspective, like body cam footage. That part was kind of annoying. In the 70s when they first started making this, that was probably like groundbreaking. But nowadays, when everything's filmed like that, it's just like, ugh. I don't like it. I wish it was filmed from
icky. I don't like that. That's gross.
I don't like that. But I did appreciate. All space travel movies are very like, yay, humans go, blah, blah, blah. We're so great. We can land and create things. And then they face adversity, which is just like a monster, but then they overcome the adversity or they go back home having learned something. But this is the complete opposite. It's a very bleak view of space travel where like, you try to make a civilization on another planet, it will go horribly wrong. And which is honestly, in my opinion, probably what would happen anywhere further than Mars. I think Mars is close enough where like the communications could still happen, but like if it's far enough away where there would be no communication with Earth without a unreasonable delay, just being shut off from the rest of the humanity, I do think it would go as south as this did.
It would. They would definitely dive deep.
Yeah,
that direction.
There's one line, I believe Merrick said it, where he's just like, on Earth there is no killing. Like, what? How far in the future is it that there is no killing on Earth anymore?
It's just a little Minority Report.
And if
everybody
that were
gets
the
caught
case,
before.
Yeah, if that were the case, why'd you leave?
Yeah,
it's
because he wanted to be a messiah.
Yeah, it is it's a very theatrical film, which in a way kind of made it more interesting to watch because it's not people acting like you normally see. It's very physical.
Yeah, they're super expressive.
Super expressive, and it really did make it more captivating. But I really wish it was finished, and I know it's no one's fault but the Polish government. So fuck the Polish government.
Damn them!
In the 1970s, I'm sure they're great now. Other than the whole abortion thing, man, I'm gonna get us banned in so many countries. But I enjoy this for the most part. It is my brain still hurt a few days after watching it. But it is. It's fascinating. Just the making of it's fascinating. The film itself is fascinating. The perseverance of Andrei Zulawski to even get it released is fascinating. But it is very hard to talk about, and I don't think I have anything much more to say.
I think pretty much the same.
Yeah. So I guess we should get to the judgment. As always, to be on the KFR shelf, it has to be a unanimous decision whether or not it goes on the shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. Always a few week breaks. I always stumble over that for some reason. But that because I picked it, I get to go first. See, I'm stumbling over it some more.
There you go.
If it weren't for the behind the scenes story about it, I might be a little more on the fence of whether or not it goes on the shelf. I enjoyed it, but the behind the scenes story for it by itself is enough to put it on the shelf for me. I think it's the idea that it was almost a casualty of censorship and is still kind of struggling to get the final product. Was that like 50 years later or something like that?
Oh yeah.
Is very fascinating. So I think for that it goes on the shelf. But it's also a good movie. It's bonkers and hard to pay attention to at times, but it is or not hard to pay attention to, hard to follow. But it is a good movie regardless. But it definitely goes on the shelf just for the behind the scenes alone.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, I would say it also goes on the shelf.
Oh, you little bitch!
I just over here bitching. But yeah, it's super. It can be overwhelming on trying to follow up with it, especially it's like almost 3 hours long, so it's a lot of reading, a lot of trying to pay attention.
And they talk fast too. So
and they talk very fast because they are theatrical. They do speak loud, but that doesn't help us when we can't hear what they're speaking very loudly.
Yeah.
So we have to read very loudly. But other than that, it's so good to look at. It was fun to, once you were like paying attention, at least to the parts you could understand. Like it was great to be in those moments. And like you said, it was very fun to watch, fun to look at, especially looking at it. The costume and set designs were phenomenal, and I think that on its own kind of warrants it, because if it never does get a remake, just watching this movie and trying to picture what it would look like if it was made today would be absolutely, it was bonkers now, bonkers awesome, but imagine how fucking bonkers amazing it would be to look at it in today's, modern technology.
Absolutely.
It would be crazy. So yeah, I'd honestly, I'd say, yeah, absolutely put that thing on.
Yeah, honestly, I can't speak highly enough about like the wardrobe and the set pieces. Like that is a huge,
especially the
aspect of
horse
this film.
rider right in the beginning, as soon as like the first 2 minutes.
His look is so cool. Like I'm not big into cosplay, but if I were a cosplayer and
be
would
that
go to
dude.
conventions, I'd go as that dude, and everyone would be like, "Who the hell are you?" And be
Who
like,
the hell?
"You uncultured swine." So, On the Silver Globe goes onto the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us to next week's assignment. I picked this week, so it's not my turn to go again.
It is not your turn.
I believe it's Glenn's turn.
Is it my turn?
I think it is. Glenn, what movie do you have for us to watch next week?
Diggity. Damn, it's my turn. We're we went a little bit sci-fi there that time.
Yeah, a
little
little
bit of the dramatic arts, shall
Funnily
I say?
enough, sci-fi is not on the top three on IMDb on the top three genres. It's adventure, drama, fantasy, which is
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go a completely different route. We're gonna go a nice little rom-com this time. This is a movie
You've
that
been
I've
on a rom-com kick lately.
I have, mainly because I'm trying to get a lot of them out of my face.
That's fair. That's very fair.
But also, this has been one I've been wanting to watch for a while, because it's one of those, what would you call it? The Brat Pack, little bundle, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
It's made by John Hughes.
Yeah,
So
Brat
it
Pack.
will be on Hulu. This one is going to be 16 Candles. Ooh.
So, what's the story? You got a guy or?
Yes, 3 big ones, and they went blood.
Her name is Samantha Baker, and today is her 16th birthday.
Fred, she's gotten her boobies.
Oh, I'd better go get my magnifying glass.
They forgot my birthday.
Classic.
This is the single worst day of my entire life.
Universal Pictures presents
Score, a direct hit.
16 Candles.
You say it's your birthday. It's my birthday too.
The story of a girl who's stuck with a guy who's driving her crazy,
Nice manners, babe.
and stuck on a guy she's crazy about.
Who's Jake?
Jake Ryan?
Jake's my boy.
Jake is a senior, and he's beautiful and perfect.
He doesn't even know you exist.
A girl's sweet 16th birthday becomes anything but special as she suffers from every embarrassment possible. This had been on the agenda for a little bit, finally getting around to it. I watched a couple of John Hughes movies here and there. I know this one has been just, sitting there waiting, Ferris Bueller's. And what is the Brad Pack movie that I can't believe I'm losing my mind for right now?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's not
No,
Brad Pack.
that's not Brad Pack.
Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club. That one I had watched. I had actually watched it recently again. But this one I had always been there, lingering, waiting for me to watch it, and I never watched it. Of course, it has Molly Ringwald, Anthony Michael Hall, Justin Henry, Michael Schofling, ?
Yeah, probably.
I did see John Cusack in there as well, a whole bunch of other people. So yeah, this is a silly little rom-com that we are going to watch.
And that's on Hulu, you said?
That is on Hulu.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen this either, mainly because I don't like rom-coms too much.
Oh yeah, I made sure to pick. I made a whole list, and I think I actually told you.
How many
this.
of those are rom-coms?
Well, too many, shall I say?
Too many. Oh god.
No, it's
Okay.
actually not that bad.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at the list again, but it's there's a whole range of different movies that we can watch that neither of us have watched.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to find anything that you haven't seen.
I know. I'm sorry.
I went through one day while I was, just playing a game, and I was like, I gotta find a bunch of movies that this man hasn't watched on these streaming platforms. So I went and did that, and here we are with 16 Candles.
16 Candles, yeah. So 16 Candles is going to be our movie for next week. You can watch that on Hulu. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we are Keystone_film_review. Twitter, Keystone_film. Facebook, Keystone Film Review. YouTube, Keystone Film Review. TikTok, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I'm Mike, KFR. One breath.
That was very impressive.
I'm proud.
And I am Glenn, KFR.
And that will do it until next week when we make a wish.
Oh.
And that's the only thing. That's a joke from Family Guy where they reference it and someone says make a wish and then like hits her into the cake or something. I don't remember. That's the only reference to 16 Candles that I have in my brain at all.
Well, you did good.
Yeah. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.